Right, the next little update on the Bullet. Now, what I've got here, this little tube that you see, is connected to the oil outlet thread down here, which carries the tube up to the cylinder head, and this is the feed from the scavenge pump to the cylinder head. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm testing to check that the oil feed pump for both the main oil feed pump to pump into the crank and the oil feed pump for the scavenge pump for the cylinder head are both working effectively. Because of the situation and nature of the seizure, and I want to check and verify for myself that these are actually in working order and doing their job. Now, if I just start rotating the engine as is, then oil will come out of here and spill out. But also what I need to do is cycle it around the engine as it would. Now in the engine when it's running, it would run down from the cylinder head, down into here, which is into the timing case, and then back via a gallery into the oil tank. Now I do know that there's a bit more oil in the sump than there should be, because I've already sort of run this through a little bit without the tube at various processes to check things. So as I say, I need to make sure that it's cycling right the way around properly. So what I'm going to do is, the bike's in neutral. I've got the conrod small end supported by a couple of rubber bands connected to these, so it's not going to bash against the front or back of the engine cases as I kick this round. And I'm just going to kick this over on the Kickstarter and check to see that oil is actually feeding up here. The only thing I'm not sure about with this situation is obviously I can see there that it is pumping oil around as it should. Now we've got a little bit of splashing that's just come up from the crankcases there, but that's nothing particularly worth worrying about, just a few little splashes which we'll wipe up with a rag. So oil is certainly making its way around, that much we can tell. The only thing I'm not sure is what kind of volume this should really flow, and it's my understanding that the flow volume is actually quite low on these anyway, and accordingly you can buy a high capacity oil pump kit from Hitchcock's. But for the purposes of this test, that's shown that my oil pump is working. It's obviously pumping oil into the sump, and the scavenge pump is picking oil from the sump, which is then feeding back round. So that's good there. And for anybody wondering, this particular tube with this end piece is actually from a feeding syringe kit from an agricultural vet supplier. And these, I believe, are for things like feeding baby lambs and what have you, and for dosing medicinally for agricultural cattle and what have you. And you basically get a big fat syringe with them, which are great for things like brake bleeding and drawing off excess oils and coolants and various other engine related things. And this just happens to be the right kind of size to screw onto the thread down here. And all you have to do is nip the end off, because the stock end that these come with is solid but with a hole through the side